Four people are sitting around the table.
See, in this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend.
Suddenly, a bomb goes off.
Those with loaded guns.
Now take the same scene and tell the audience there is a bomb under that table.
No, you dig.
So the whole emotion of the audience is totally different.
You dig.
Okay, before we get into our notes, I want you to give your general overview opinion about this movie. Which
they don't even know what movie it is.
Yeah, so tell us what movie it was. Yeah.
I picked a movie called Barbarian. It came out like 2 years ago.
So what'd you think of the movie? In summary.
I like it. It's not every scene, but I think there's a lot of scenes with good camera work. The acting is decent, especially from the character named AJ. I like him as an actor. I don't know, at least in the two movies I've seen or remember that have him in it. It's a little bit of a weird movie, but it's not that weird. And I'm not gonna rate it as high as like The Godfather or Schindler's List, but I will probably rate it like a 7 or like a 6.5. Like it's just like a decent horror movie.
Going into this movie, Barbarian, I honestly, like when it started, it was a little weird and I didn't completely understand everything that was going on. Then as the movie went along, I was enjoying it more and more and more. And towards the end, I absolutely loved this movie. And it was a little unexpected for me because at the start, like not everything was completely laid out. Like piece by piece, the movie like explains things, and a little confusing. And there were some red herrings here and there, but I absolutely loved this movie. This movie is amazing. I definitely want to watch it again.
I'm glad you actually liked the movie I picked. I wasn't sure if you're gonna like it. I tried not to pick a shitty horror movie. This one I think is interesting and it's different. It is something that people like this type of story hasn't been necessarily told before, or if it has, it's been very different.
Yeah, no, I don't think this has been told before.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite character? Because there's only like,
no.
Well, I guess there's like 5 total characters if you include the 2 bad people.
I'm trying to think, and no, honestly, I didn't really like anyone that they would be my favorite.
Okay. My favorite is AJ. AJ is the owner of the house, the legal owner of the house. And I think his character is like his character is not a good person, but later in the movie when he's sitting there with a fucking measuring tape measuring his house,
that was
like,
fucking funny.
I can't stop laughing. It's like
I feel like that was a very realistic response. Like
oh,
extra square footage?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But let's jump to the start. So this film opens up with this chick. I honestly don't even fucking remember her name.
Tess.
Okay. So this film opens with Tess, and she's renting this Airbnb in Detroit, Michigan. and it's a very
Not a
shitty.
nice part. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I wrote it down. Oh, I didn't write it down. I just wrote in the hood.
in the hood.
It's in a not good part of Detroit.
So this movie starts. It's night. It's dark. It's raining, and she goes to get into this Airbnb, and there's a code for a lockbox with the key for the door, and she can't get the code right, and then she gets it right, and the key's not in there. So then she calls the owner, no answer, and it turns out someone's already in the house. And this was my first point of confusion, because when she called the owner, the voice I heard on the voicemail was a female voice, and so I thought the owner was a woman. But then later on, it explains that like he has an assistant, or like it's a management company or something. So that's the person who answered.
I see.
Because like when AJ shows up and he's like, "I'm the owner," that I was confused a little bit.
That makes sense.
But yeah, it turns out someone is already in the house. It beats her to it.
The Airbnb was booked on 2 different sites separately, so they ended up with a double booking.
And this is where the film introduces the first red herring, because you meet this guy Keith, and he's a little creepy. He acts kind of weird.
Yep.
And the film leads you to believe that this guy is the antagonist, that this guy is who you should be looking out for. But it's just a curveball.
It is a curveball. I think in the beginning, the movie does a pretty good job of making you think that he's kind of a creep, or like not necessarily making you think he's a creep, but like making him seem like an odd person. So she goes inside and she goes to the bathroom because she's like, I gotta go to the bathroom, right? And she looks at his toiletries in the bathroom. I don't know if you picked up on this, but she's like, as soon as she goes to the bathroom, she starts looking at his toiletries. And
Yeah.
I thought that was to show like, oh, he's not necessarily lying. He is actually staying here. He's traveling. He has toiletries type thing.
I didn't really
like
think about it too much.
If it was just like a random dude in the house, like trying to like kidnap her or something, like you wouldn't bring toiletries. And then this whole time, Keith is trying to be kind of nice. And Tess is like, oh, this is kind of creepy. And
I mean,
not having it.
It makes complete sense. She's
like totally very sensible thing.
She's a woman. It's fucking night. Someone's at the house who's not supposed to be there. It's Detroit. It's dude, fucking stranger danger, you know? Mm-hmm. The alarms are sounding right now.
So she's like, you know what? I'm going to try and get a hotel. All the hotels are booked. There's a conference in town. So Keith was like, you know what? If you want, you can stay here with me and you can take the room and I'll sleep on the couch. And she's like, I don't really think so. Like you already like laid in the bed and you used the sheets or whatever. And he's like, you know what? We can wash the sheets. And she ends up agreeing. So while the sheets are being washed, Keith goes extra weird and is like, you know what? Let's drink wine together.
When he mentioned that there's a convention, I honestly thought that he was trying to get her to stop looking for a hotel. Like he was trying to get her to stay. Yeah. And this is why I was thinking like he's the antagonist right now. Mm-hmm. Because he was just doing everything to get her to not look at other places. So.
Yep. And then she declines the wine, right? But they do start talking to each other. And they talk something, they just talk about their lives. Tess is in town for a job interview. And Keith is something, I had to look, I wanted to look, I didn't look it up on purpose. Keith is part of something called the Detroit Lion Tamers.
Yeah. When they said that, it completely went over my head. I did not know what that was.
There's actually a thing about the movie. I don't know. There's a lot of things about lion tamers. I don't know. He's part of a group called the Detroit Lion Tamers. Still not sure what that is. And basically, as the night goes on, they become more friendly. She does start drinking wine, and then there's this like weird / funny scene where he shows off an actually useful technique to get a duvet cover over like a blanket. And it's
I thought that part was so fucking like, dude, what are you doing? I thought he was like, having a stroke standing up.
I wrote down shows off masterful duvet technique. And then basically after that, it gets like kind of awkward because like she's trying to go to bed and he's not like he's like staying in the room, but like,
yeah.
But anyways, he's like, you know what? I'm just going to go to sleep. And then she closes the door and they go to sleep. And she wakes up and the door is open. And then Keith is having a nightmare and like screaming in his sleep.
Yeah, he's got some problems.
He does have some problems. And so she gets up and she goes to wake up Keith. And as she's walking out of the hallway, because she thinks Keith opened her door. As she's walking down the hallway, there's a door further down the hallway that she's not looking at, but the camera is, that you see slowly closes. And it's the door to the basement.
I mean, it's a completely reasonable thought for her to have. I mean, he's the only other person in the house, you know?
That she knows of. And so she wakes him up and he's like kind of pissed because she woke him up, and he's like, "No, I didn't open your fucking door." And so she's like, "Okay, this is really weird," but she just goes back to sleep. And she goes back to sleep, and she wakes up late the next morning for her job interview, but I guess she still makes it on time. But when she wakes up, Keith is not there. He left a note saying, "I got shit to do or whatever, and I'll see you later tonight." Mm-hmm. So he gives her the key because since she's leaving last to lock up the house. And then she goes to her job interview and comes back. Keith is still not home. And let's see. Oh,
I think that's
actually,
when
I forgot a part. She goes home, and as she's getting out of her car, there's
a dude chases her.
A crazy dude in the street and chases her into the house, and like she starts freaking out.
Sometimes when I come home, I do have like an irrational fear that someone is gonna chase me right up to my door. And I'm not gonna like have enough time to unlock it. And when I saw that, I was like, "Oh my god!"
So that's what happens.
Thoughts.
She's like scrambling to unlock the key from the little outdoor lockbox to get inside the house, and she just barely makes it inside the house before the homeless dude like is pounding on her door, and he's yelling at her. Then it kind of cuts a little bit, and she's like using the restroom or whatever. And she finds that, or she's going to use the restroom, and she finds she's out of toilet paper. She starts searching the whole house for toilet paper. And she opens the basement door and finds toilet paper in the basement. But the basement door has the habit of closing by itself. I don't know. Some doors just do that. But it locks from the inside. So once you're locked in the basement, you can't get out. Thank you.
When I first seen the door shut, like when she woke up in the middle of the night and the door closed on its own, the first thing I thought was like, okay, it's a supernatural thing, because because that happens a lot in scary movies, like doors shutting because of like some paranormal thing. But this door is another red herring because the movie leads you to believe it's one thing when really it's just a shitty door.
It's just a crappy door.
And I wanted to touch on two little things that happened earlier on. This was when they were still, like, it was still the same night that she got there, and they're like the sheets are washing and they're like talking a little bit. Keith says that he says that there's a lot of bad dudes out there. And when he said that, I thought he was talking about himself. Because at this moment, I'm like, okay, he it's him. And then the chick, what the fuck is her name again? I know you just told me.
Tess. Sorry,
Tess.
I'm eating pizza pockets. I'm hungry.
Lucky you. Tess said something about she's going to get her heart ripped open or something. I was like, that's got to be foreshadowing. Come on. Really? You're going to get your heart ripped open? Anyways, sorry. Sorry to backtrack a little bit.
No, that's fine. You can tell me if you need to interject at a certain point, just tell me.
Okay.
So
back to the shitty door. She goes
back
down
to the
for
shitty
toilet
door.
paper.
She goes down for toilet paper, gets locked in the basement.
Yes.
She's like searching for a way to get out of the basement. There is a window, but she has trouble opening it. So she starts looking around for maybe like a tool or something to help open the door. She finds a rope that's hanging out of the wall. And
A little suspicious.
So she, like any casually curious person, she pulls on the rope and it opens a secret part of the wall that blends in, but it is a door. And she looks down the hallway, which is pitch black, and she says, "Nope."
Honestly, this whole part when she gets locked in the basement, I think just for any horror movie, the setup is perfect. Because first, she gets locked in the basement. You already know it's a creepy basement. Second, the movie lets you know she doesn't have her phone. She doesn't have it. It's left upstairs.
Yep, that's true.
Then, they show that she still has the key to the front door. So now she has an option. Next, how is she going to get out? So she needs to figure a way out. So the setup for that is it's perfect. You know, it's almost like when you're playing a video game and the game puts you in these situations and gives you options on how to deal with it. And just as a horror movie, I thought that was really, really nice that the setup was clear. You knew what was going on. You knew where she was and what her options were. And like she's exploring this basement and she learned a new thing. And she's also presented with another option. So she has the option to try to either open the basement door, go through the basement window, or go down this new dark room. So I really, really enjoyed that whole setup. It was very nice. I can hear you fucking chewing.
Sorry. So she ends up, while waiting for her way out of the basement, because she knows that Keith will come down. She's like, okay, I can't see in this hallway and I don't have a flashlight, but there's a mirror on the wall. So she sets up the mirror with a ceiling light to shine light down the hallway.
Very smart move.
Yep. And then she starts going down the hallway and she finds a room at the end of the hallway. And it is a dungeon.
Yeah.
That's how I will describe it. It is a dungeon that seems to have been used in the past, set up with a camera and a bed, and there's blood on the wall.
Considering most typical movie dungeons, this one is a little minimal.
This is a realistic dungeon.
Yeah. It's just dirty room, and there's almost nothing in it.
And then it kind of cuts. So she finds that, and she obviously does not like what she sees. So eventually, Keith does come back to the house, and she sees him walking up the driveway, and she starts banging on the basement window. And he sees her, and he's like, "Oh, okay, I'll help you. I'll get you out." And he does. He lets her out.
This is when I start thinking that Keith is innocent.
As soon as that happened?
Not as soon as it happened. So she's still trapped in the basement. Keith gets there, lets her out, and they're talking in the living room. And she's explaining to him like what's downstairs in the basement, and he's just not understanding and not believing her. Then he goes to see. That's when I started thinking that he's innocent. Also, the first thought I had that made me think that he was innocent was that when he was sleeping, the door shut by itself. That's when I still thought it was a paranormal thing. I didn't know it was just a crappy door, but Keith had nothing to do with the door. And that was like my absolute first thought, thinking that he was innocent. Then when he went down to look, like if he really wanted to trap her, if he was the villain, the antagonist,
let her out.
Exactly. So that's when I really started thinking this guy's probably just innocent.
Yeah. So she's rightfully freaking out, and he like doesn't understand. He's like, you know what? Give me 30 seconds. I'll go check it out, and then we can call the people and figure out what to do. Call the owners of the house, basically. So he goes down there, and she waits a little bit, and then she starts calling for him to come back up, and he is not answering.
Yep.
So she waits a little bit longer, and she keeps calling for his name, and he's still not answering. So she goes down to look for him.
When she gets there, she sees the room. He's gone.
Yeah.
He fucking disappeared.
So yeah, she looks down the hallway. She looks in the dungeon. He is gone. So she's like, where the hell did he just go?
But little does she know.
At this point, she has her phone. She has her phone, and she uses it as a flashlight, like any normal person would.
Yeah.
And she finds that at the end of the hallway, because at the end of the hallway, it looks like a wall. And to the left at the end of the hallway is the room. But the end of the hallway, that wall is another fake wall.
So many fake walls.
She opens that wall, and it's just stairs carved into rock leading down.
The note I wrote was, holy shit, there's a tunnel.
Yeah, there's a tunnel. And she sees the stairs, and then she hears Keith calling for help. At this point, did you still think Keith could have been the antagonist trying to lure her into the stairs?
It was a little strange, but if he was the antagonist, it's a strange move to do. Like, leave your victim upstairs, come down, disappear, get them. It's not. I wouldn't think it's a good tactic as an antagonist. So it was strange, completely strange, but still think he's. I mean, I don't think he's completely innocent. I'm just thinking he's more innocent.
It's okay. His name will shortly be cleared.
Yeah.
So she goes down the stairs because Keith is calling for help, and she's just way too nice of a person and wants to help. That's the only critique I have for this character, Tess. But that's for later in the movie. At this point, it still kind of makes sense that she's being nice.
I was thinking that she's a very realistic horror movie character. Because, like, when she first opened the door, the wall door with the rope, she's like, nope, fuck that. Which I think almost everybody would have the same thought. Like, just don't go in there. But then once she revealed the tunnel, that's when she started losing some of the realistic thoughts. Because if I were in this person's situation, if I had an Airbnb, if there's another person, There was a dungeon and a tunnel. I'm not fucking going in there at all.
I'm not going in the tunnel.
I'm leaving.
The stairs? Yeah, as soon as I saw the stairs and I hear him calling for help, I'm calling the police.
You're on your own. Fuck you.
I'm calling the police. You may die, but I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So
fuck that.
She goes down the tunnel and she finds like a little side room area with a bunch of metal cages in it. And she keeps going further. And she finds Keith. And he is freaking out. He's crawling on all fours, on his hands and knees.
Yeah.
And he says someone else is down here and that he was bit.
When he said that, I was like, what the fuck? What? There's a what?
Yeah. And then he's like, listen, we need to get out of here. And then he tries to drag her the way he came. I was like, well, why does that even make any sense? If you were bit that way, why are you trying to drag her further down the hall?
Yeah. Like he wasn't down there very long. He was there for what, maybe 2 minutes?
The tunnel only goes one way.
Oh, really?
Well, it seems
I didn't know that.
At the way I imagine it is at the bottom of the stairs, it takes a left. And then it goes down for a long way until it hits the T. Mm-hmm. And at the T to the right is old man room. To the left is storage pit. And then somewhere along this T is like the little, like the cage room and then the mom room.
I never really took a minute to understand the layout of it. I just thought it was like
my understanding
tunnels, because like it kind of looked like a mine shaft, and mine shafts they like split and branch. That's what I thought was happening.
I thought it was like a T. I could be wrong, but that's how I imagine it.
I do want to tell you, I watched this movie with my mom because we
Okay.
So yesterday we got a brand new 98-inch TV, and she was like, "Man, we gotta bust it out. We gotta test it. You know, we put on a movie." And I was like, "Okay, I do have to watch this one movie." And she's like, "Whatever, put it on." And it was like 10 o'clock maybe. And I was like, I didn't tell her shit about it. I was like,
okay,
click, put it on. And throughout the whole movie, she's like, "Man, why'd you pick this movie?" And then it gets to the part of Keith crawling to her on all fours, and she screamed so fucking loud, louder than I've ever heard her scream. And later on, she tried to leave because she was like, "Christian, I can't do these. Like my heart's gonna, like I'm gonna have a heart attack." And I'm like, I'm not forcing you to stay. You can leave. And she's like, "Oh, fine, I'll stay." And yeah.
Okay. So as he's trying to drag her down the hallway, this is where you see the first crazy thing. And it is a abnormally large, and I don't mean fat, I mean tall, like over 7 feet tall. Abnormally large naked lady.
This is the reveal of the true monster.
Yeah. And she takes Keith by the head and smashes him into a wall. And then and then what happens?
I wrote.
And then does it cut?
Yes.
Yeah,
I wrote
that.
Ugh, nasty ass gross lady.
Yeah.
But yeah,
she's gross.
After this monster lady and her fucking titties, I can't get those titties out of my head. After this monster lady fucking smashes Keith's head, it cuts to a new character. This guy is driving down the highway with the fucking convertible. He's wealthy, whatever. He's well off for himself.
He's an actor.
They introduced a new character, and I was thinking,
you don't know what happens to Tess at this point because it cuts before anything happens.
Honestly, I thought she was done. She's fucking dead. She's gone. But I was thinking, I was just confused how this guy ties into the whole story, because he's talking about things that are completely unrelated. This is all brand new plot information. This is new character, new stories. He's got his own life. He's dealing with his own things, and I didn't know where this was going at first, and it kind of felt like a new movie just started.
Yeah. So, this movie, we already named him AJ. Do you know what other movie we've watched together that he is from?
I recognize this actor from he's done a few horror movies. That motherfucker's in Tusk.
That was the one. Yeah.
Yeah. You're sick, Evan. You're sick. You have issues.
Yeah. That's where I remember him from.
You know, when this actor, I'm not gonna.
The funny thing is, he's in both this movie and in that movie. He is like an asshole in both movies.
I'm not going to go into detail right now, but later on there's a moment that's a little bit disturbing with him and the monster, and I was thinking, what's it? Why does this actor always do disturbing things in movies? This is very, very gross. That was one thought I had when I seen his face.
So he's driving down the highway, and he gets a call from some sort of manager that at his film studio, saying that he's being pressed with sexual assault / harassment charges. And he's, typical like douchebag actor thing to do. He's like, no, I didn't do that. She's overreacting. And then it cuts, and he's meeting with his financial advisor. He's like, listen, obviously I'm gonna have to pay $70,000 for one lawyer to win this lawsuit and $70,000 to win another defamation lawsuit. He's like, what do I need to do, financial advisor? And his financial advisor is like, your properties are killing you. You need to sell one of your properties. And that's when you find out that one of his properties is the Airbnb from the beginning of the movie. So he ends up traveling to the
Detroit.
Airbnb, to Detroit, and like some crap happened, like not important to the story. Crap happens. It just builds a little bit on the character. Like he gets a call from his lawyer saying, "Why the hell are you traveling? You shouldn't be traveling." He meets with his friend, and then at that point, it kind of explains that he like actually did sexually assault a person, even though he was kept denying it. And he's at his Airbnb, and he finds the people's clothes.
Yes,
because the Airbnb had never been cleaned out.
Which was a little confusing because he already got there earlier. He got there, then he went out with his friend and then came back. Why didn't he notice that the first time he was there? Like,
I don't know. So, he finds his clothes, and then he gets back from the bar with his friend, and then he calls the girl that he sexually assaulted while drunk.
Yeah, bad idea.
Yeah.
Bad fucking idea.
This note's not super relevant to the story. I just wanted to mention it because it's dumb.
Yeah.
And
using a phone while you're drunk is just a bad idea.
Yeah. So he goes to bed, and he wakes up and he's hungover, and he starts looking through Tess and Keith's clothes and like possessions because he's like, okay, who the hell owns this stuff? And I thought this part was funny. He picks up Tess's MacBook and tries to log into it. He tries once and he fails. And he's like, you know what? Just fuck it. And he closes the MacBook and he throws it over his shoulder and it smacks a wall.
I don't remember that part at all. I was probably looking down at my phone typing.
He chucks a MacBook.
Jesus Christ.
Funny.
What an asshole.
Yeah.
When he's looking through, I think it was Keith's suitcase, his luggage, and like going through his clothes, there's a book of Jane Eyre. I think, I'm not 100% sure because I don't know a lot about. I don't know a lot about this movie, but it just seemed like that book might have been an Easter egg for something, because it's a suitcase full of clothes. The filmmakers could have just left the suitcase just be clothes, but they sandwiched a book in between.
I remember
there.
seeing the book and thinking kind of the same thing, but I didn't care enough to look into it.
Yeah, I still haven't looked into it, but it definitely seems like there's something going on there. I've never read the book Jane Eyre. I don't know what it's about, but I do think that it's a little Easter egg. That's it.
So, I can't remember why he goes in the basement. He might just be looking for them. Oh no, he hears a noise. You remember? He's doing something in the house, and he hears a noise.
There was a chair propping the door open.
Yeah, that was when he first got to the house, though. This
really?
is the next day. The next day, he's like doing something at the house, like trying to get it sold, or that's a bad explanation. He's just at the house, and he hears a noise from the basement. So then he opens the door, and he makes a threat. He's like, he doesn't have a gun, but he's like, I got a gun.
Yeah.
And if you don't leave in the next minute, I'm going to come down there and start blasting.
Which is, it's one way to approach that situation.
Yep.
I mean, some people, like the girl, would be scared and say no. Some other people, like Keith, would explore a little bit and not be threatening. And some other people might just come out swinging like AJ and threaten people.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the three characters have three different reactions how other people might react.
So he thinks a person's down there. So he's like, you know what? There's this little scene where he psychs himself up, and he grabs a flashlight and like a kitchen knife, and he goes down to the basement, and obviously no one's there. But he sees the whole mirror setup thing that Tess left because no one's been there, and he finds the wall door is closed. And then he finds the rope in the wall, and he opens the wall door. And as soon as he opens the wall door, this is the scene where it cuts to him back in the kitchen, like looking up if he could use basement area as extra square footage for his house.
Which shows another way how this character is selfish.
Mm-hmm. And
he's excited about this extra square footage.
Yeah, he breaks out the tape measure, and he starts measuring every inch of that hallway, the secret hallway, every inch of the dungeon, and then he finds the stairs, and then he gets really
even
excited,
more
and he starts measuring each individual step, and he gets to the bottom, and he starts measuring the hallway, and he finds a room that I'm going to refer to as Mother's Room. And it has a bed on the floor, and there's a TV playing with like a video on how to like breastfeed a baby. And he keeps going down the hall, measuring, and he runs into the monster, which I call Mother, because that's what the monster's identity is like a mom.
Yeah.
And he obviously is not expecting to be assaulted by a 7-foot tall naked woman.
Yeah.
And he is, and he gets dragged into a pit, and it you can take it from there. He gets dragged into a pit.
He gets dragged into a pit, and that's where the other chick is, and it's revealed that she survived whatever happened right after Keith died, was brutally beaten to death, and she's AJ is freaking out like a normal person would be, and she's trying to explain to him that he needs to calm down because Mother, the monster, doesn't like when people are freaking out, because she also says that the monster wants them to be her babies, and the monster comes in, fucking sticks out this giant fucking cartoon sized like milk bottle with this fat fucking nipple, and the monster wants to feed her babies.
Do you remember? There's a flashback as soon as he is thrown in the cage.
Oh yes, I do. Yes.
So before the milk bottle scene, he gets thrown in the cage, and then it cuts to another flashback. And in this flashback, he basically gives the backstory of the original owner who used to own the house, and it showed him basically getting supplies and building up the house, and he was building up obviously that dungeon and the below area to kidnap women. And it's like it's probably like 10 minutes of backstory.
Right when you said that the dad was kidnapping ladies, I didn't fully understand that while they played it out. But this flashback starts with this older guy who's living in the Airbnb, and it's a flashback, and the whole neighborhood is bright and vibrant and lively, and he's a little strange. He goes to the store, buys some baby products, and that's where they give him the videotape of like how to breastfeed and do motherly things. Then he gets back into his car to presumably drive home, and he sees a fairly attractive woman, and he follows her all the way to her home. He gets there, and I don't know if this is his real like work thing, but he goes into his trunk and pulls out a jumpsuit, like a repairman uniform jumpsuit, and he goes up to this house where this lady just got there, and he goes in. I don't remember what he really did.
Pretending to be a repairman. He's like, I'm from the city. They want me to check your water, make sure it's working, because other houses on the street don't have working water. And he's lying to this lady. And then he goes into the bathroom, turns on the faucet to like kind of prove that he's checking water. But this is like back when people trusted each other. So she's not in there watching. And then while he's in there and the water's running, he unlocks the window door. So that he can sneak in later. It doesn't show that, but that's what it's referencing. And then he turns off the water and says, "Oh, yep, you're all good, ma'am. Have a good day." And then he goes back to his house, and that's the end of the flashback. So it's showing what the house's intent, like original use was, and why there's tunnels and stuff. And more is explained later. And then it cuts back to like the milk bottle scene. And I wrote down AJ has to drink from a dirty milk container, but he refuses.
And that upsets Mother.
That upsets Mother quite a bit. So Mother picks him out of the pit and takes him to the mom room, the pink room, where I'm going to say this with as little context as possible. He is forced to drink other milk.
When she takes him out of this pit, that to me showed how physically
strong,
crazy this lady creature thing is. Because this pit is probably like 8, maybe 9 feet deep. It's a deep fucking pit. Like one other chick, like it took her like kind of a lot to get out of it, but the mother monster, she fucking swooped him up and hopped right fucking out of it super easily. And picked up this fully grown man with such ease. So she's fucking strong and can fucking jump, and she can move quickly, and she's strong. It's crazy. A physical, what's the word? Miracle? No.
Miracle.
She's a monstrosity.
She's a miracle. She's a miracle. So while AJ is busy being a distractor to the mother, since he was pulled out of the cage, the monster never closed the cage, and Tess is still in there.
Yes.
And Tess is like, you know what? If now's my chance, I'm gonna escape. So she sneaks down the hallway and she gets past the pink room that the mom is in, and then she steps on AJ's stupid tape measure, and it makes a ton of noise, and that's when the mom's like, oh, she's trying to leave me. So Tess runs. She gets all the way back up to the basement, and she goes to the door to find that the door is locked. And then she's like, very quick thinking. She breaks the window. She's like, nuh-uh, not this window, not today. And she shoves her hand through the window and breaks it. And she's crawling out of this window, and the monster's coming up behind her. And then the homeless dude from earlier pulls her out of the window and saves her just before the mom can pull her back into the tunnels.
I was honestly a little bit surprised by this homeless guy. At first, I thought he was just a random, like, another crazy person. I thought they were just showing, like, Detroit is fucking crazy. Like, watch out. But no, he totally rescues her, and he knows what the fuck is up with that house.
The homeless dude, he knows what's in the house. He knows what used to be in the house.
He is well informed.
Yeah. He lives on that street. He needs to know what's in the house. And basically the old man, or not the old man, the homeless person is like, you need to leave here now. And she's like, no, we need to get help. There's a man still down there, and he could be killed. And then she tries, I don't know why she does this. She should have just left. But she tries to contact the police. And the police are not helpful in any way, shape, or form. They're
zero
terrible
help.
police officers. While this is happening, it kind of cuts back and forth. So while this is happening, while she's being chased up the stairs by Mother, like before she escapes, obviously, since Mother is not in the basement anymore, AJ is down there alone. And he's like, oh, well, now I can escape. But he goes the other way. He goes the other way, and then he, at like this T junction that I mentioned earlier, if down here is the pit and up here is a different way, he goes down this way and then up. And he finds a room.
Well, he first sees a bell attached to the wall with a rope. Mm-hmm. He follows this rope to another room, and that's where he finds a room with a bunch of garbage in it. And there's a very old man that surprises him. And it turns out this old man is the father.
The man from the flashback.
Yes. When that flashback happened, so watching this whole movie, like as a whole, it seemed to me like almost like 3 short films. Like when it first starts, all the way up until the monster's revealed and Keith fucking dies, that seemed like one short film. Then AJ's introduced, and then it leads him to the house. That was like another short film. And then the flashback was like another really, really short film. And then it just kind of connects all of them together. That's what I kind of, the vibe I felt. That's what I got, you know?
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
Yeah.
Before he enters the old man's room, the mom finds him down by the door. But the mother will not approach that door. She does not go anywhere near that door. She says, nope, and then she leaves AJ. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. I didn't understand what she was doing. I didn't pick up that she was scared of it. I don't know. I just thought it was
she's scared
weird,
of that man.
strange behavior.
Even though she's super strong, she's scared of that man for emotional reasons. Well, basically, she's scared of that man because he is her father. He is the monster's father.
Yeah. A little bit later on, it's revealed what exactly happened.
Yeah.
Which is kind of disturbing, but we'll touch on that when we get there.
So AJ goes into. He goes. Let's see. Oh crap. He goes into this room with the old man, and he's like, "Oh crap," because he doesn't know who this old man is, and
No.
AJ is not the brightest bulb.
He's probably thinking this
In
is
the department
another
store.
like victim.
Yeah, he's like, this is another victim. Obviously, any person that like wasn't retarded would probably not think that, but he's like, okay, I'm gonna help this old man that's just in this basement. And he gives him some water, and then the old man asks him. He's like talking to the old man. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna get you out of here. We're gonna call the police, and we're gonna get you out of here. And he brings this dresser over to the old man because the old man's asking for something. He can't understand it. And he's just like, you know what? You can have the whole dresser.
And a moment before that,
Yeah.
AJ is looking around the room and finds some videotapes. And each videotape is labeled a different person's name.
Mm-hmm.
And he puts in one of these videotapes into the TV, watches it. And they don't show what happens on these tapes. But
Obviously,
the
it's
old man-
implied what happens on the tapes.
the old man did disturbing things to other people in that upper room with the bed and the camera. So AJ learns that this
And
dude
there's
is messed
a
up.
Abundant amount of tapes, like more than 50 tapes.
Yeah.
And so he turns around and he's like, what? Like, you're a monster. What are you? And the old man pulls out a gun from the dresser.
I thought AJ was done.
You thought AJ was done.
Yeah.
The old man, he's like, you know what? I've lived long enough. And he shoots himself.
I was so surprised.
Yeah. And
Do you think he killed himself because of what he's done? Because
no, that man does not have regrets.
because he was so old and his quality of life was terrible, or because of the monster?
he killed himself because he was old.
Damn.
And he did it, and he was like suffering. He doesn't. I don't think that character regretted what they did. He was just old. He was like, you
'Cause
know what? I'm just gonna die now.
He literally created a monster.
Yeah. And so okay, so while all this is happening, and he's interacting with this old man in the room, time is passing, and Tess decides, okay, well, if the police aren't going to help me, then I gotta do something to help or whatever. So she's gonna break down, or no, what was she gonna do? She was gonna like sneak into the house or something, because the homeless person said, yeah, the monster's gonna leave at night and come looking for you. So she's like, you know what? I'm gonna sneak into the house.
Oh, and she doesn't have the key, and the cops wouldn't open the
wouldn't
door
let
for
in.
her. Because I mean, legally, she has no reason to be in that house. Because I mean,
an
when she escaped with nothing. She doesn't have her phone, wallet, paperwork, nothing. So she has no way to prove anything about her connection to this house. So right now, to the police, she's just a crazy, dirty lady who's trying to break into a house. Which I get it from the police's perspective, but also like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Anyways, she when it becomes nighttime, she's gonna like. I don't know what her plan was, but what's happening is she's sitting in her car, and the car is facing the house. So I don't know what the plan was from there, but it doesn't matter what the plan was because it's nighttime and mother breaks down the front door and Tess, already pointing at the house, runs over the mom and like pins her between the house and the car. And then the monster appears to die. So she's like, you know what? Oh, you know what? Maybe that was her plan. Her plan was to just kill the monster. Thinking about it now, she was waiting in her car for the monster to come out so she could run over the monster.
When the monster was on the hood of the car, and when she showed like her life was like slowly fading,
Yeah.
I didn't think that fucker was dead.
You weren't buying it?
Fuck no, she's strong as shit. You think a little fucking car bumping her into the wall is gonna slow her down? No, I didn't buy it at all. And there was like 20 minutes left of the movie. I'm like, no, that bitch isn't fucking dead. No.
Okay. So you figured it out. Anyways, so Tess thinks the monster's dead and goes back into the basement to go save AJ. And at this time, the old man's already shot himself, and AJ thinks the mother's still in the tunnel, which he has no reason to believe that she left, and takes the old man's gun and starts like making his way down the tunnel with a flashlight and a gun.
Yeah.
And then there's this scene where it's from Tess's perspective, and she's walking down the long portion of the T hallway, and AJ comes from the side, the corner, and you see the flashlight, and then Tess is like, what the heck is that? And then there's a gunshot, and AJ shoots Tess like in the stomach.
Bursted laughing. I was like, they're killing each other now. I couldn't believe it. The show is fucking funny.
And AJ realized what he's done. He's like, oh shit, I just shot her. I just shot the person that was trying to come to rescue me. And he pulls her, he pulls her up and supports her, and then they make it out of the basement and out the front door of the house into the street. And that's when Tess notices that the monster is no longer on the hood of the car.
Yeah.
And they do not know where the monster is. So they're like, okay, well, AJ was like, I don't have my car keys. They're in the basement, and Tess's car is destroyed. And they're like, okay, where do we go? And he's like, Tess is like, the homeless dude, he lives at the water tower. He's the one that helped me earlier. Let's go talk to him. So they make their way over to the water tower and have a great conversation with the homeless man.
And there's another moment with excellent comedic timing. The homeless guy, he's explaining to them a little, like, some of the history with the house and the guy and the monster lady. And this is where he explains that the guy who used to live in this house, the father, he was kidnapping women, raping them, having babies with them, and raping the babies and having babies with the babies. So
on and on until what happened was he created the monster that is the mother.
This man is the true monster, really. This giant monster lady she's really just a product of on and on incest. So
yeah,
that's what happens. You get giant monster women, monster babies. That's what you get. And then he says, the homeless guy, as he's explaining to Tess and AJ,
they want to leave.
He's like,
and he says, no, yeah, I'll let you explain it. But basically they asked to leave, and he's like, no, you should stay here.
He's like, I've been here for this long. She's never got me. She's never gonna get me. And she busts through the fucking wall and snatches him up. Perfect comedic timing. Love it.
A true Kool-Aid man moment. And busts through the wall as he's having this great speech about how she's never found him. And then she tears him apart and beats the homeless dude with his own limbs.
Yeah. That was pretty great.
So then Tess and AJ, they run up the water tower. And they get to the top of the water tower and they're like, you know what, there's nowhere to go. She's going to get us. And then AJ is like, no, I think she's going to get you.
Because she is already shot.
She's shot, but this is still like a major dick move, in my opinion.
100%.
She then, as like the mother's coming up the stairs and almost about to grab Tess, he pushes Tess off the water tower. And as she's falling, the mother, and we call her mother because she wants to be a mother and she like truly cares about Tess in like some sort of parental way. The mother, to save Tess, jumps off the water tower with Tess to save her, and then like grabs her and protects her from the fall. And the monster hits the pavement and is bleeding from the head and again appears to be dead.
Yeah, when they're both on the ground, Tess is on top of the
dead.
monster.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, her chances are a lot better. She landed on top of the monster. So
AJ makes his way down the water tower, and he goes to look at these two people that he thinks are both dead. And Tess is not dead. Tess is very much not dead, and he tries to help her up. And as soon as he tries to help her up, the mother is also not dead. And the mother grabs AJ and makes his eyeballs disappear.
oh yeah, my mom did not like that part.
He makes his eyeballs disappear. And while the monster is making AJ's eyeballs disappear, Tess grabs the gun, and when the monster turns around, the monster is facing Tess with the gun. But then,
The ending for me was
yeah, I'll let you.
a little sad. I mean, because
Yes.
Tess is on the ground with a gunshot wound. The monster, after killing AJ, the monster looks at Tess, and the monster's like, "Oh, my poor baby." Like, this monster really cares.
The monster
and-
really cares.
Like, the monster wants to try to like fix her bullet wound, and she's like, "I don't know how to help," and she tries to like pick her up and tries to carry her, but like she can't move, and so she's really caring about Tess. And fucking Tess grabs the gun, puts the gun right in front of her face, and even till the last moment, the monster's caring about Tess and like saying like, my baby. And the movie ends with a beautiful gunshot straight through that monster's face.
And that is the end of the movie.
When the monster was like saying like, "Oh, my baby's hurt" or whatever, that like it was weird because the monster does think like she's not just a monster. She's some mutated, deformed woman, and she has to have so many mental and physical disorders. Since she's a product of so much incest, her mental capacity is so low. It's so primitive, her way of thinking. All she knows and wants to do is care for a baby, since she was raised in that fucking dungeon hellhole, and all she watched all her life was this fucking videotape of parenthood. That's all she knows. And that on top of her fucking her dumb way of thinking is not a good combination at all. And I wonder, like, from a medical standpoint, what her physical disorders would be, because she's freakishly tall. And it's weird because there are people who are really tall, like 7 feet tall, and like their bones are not great. They have like bad posture. and like they physically can't move a lot. But her, she
was a peak specimen.
Yeah, which is very strange.
Maybe not in the beauty department, but
and like I know it's just a movie. It's all fiction, but I think it's a little interesting to think about these things. Like what do you think her mental disorders would be? Because I don't know. Because if she's thinking about being a mother, that's some form of adult like thinking, right?
I think it's just that video is played on repeat for her whole life, and that's literally all she knows. I think she has the brain of a baby because she was never taught anything, and the only thing she knows is whatever that video taught her.
I think isn't she like 40? Because the homeless guy says that this has been going on for like 40 years, or he says a certain amount of years, which kind of leads to how old she is, the monster. So she's old, physically.
I have no clue. If she's like the product of multiple generations of incest, she can't be that old.
Jesus Christ. Because in the flashback, the dad, the father, he's like maybe 50, early 60s, maybe. And then when the film cuts back to present day, he looks maybe 80.
Older than that, I would think.
90?
Because the time difference is between it has to be like a 50-year time difference. Because the flashback seems like it's probably in the 70s. And the movie takes place in 2022. So it has to be close to 50 years, if not a little bit more.
Because if she is the final product of all that incest, then because I'm thinking realistically, I think if incest babies really had babies with their own incest babies, I think it would take a lot of generations for someone to come out that fucked up, you know? So
true. That's slightly unrealistic. You have found a hole in the plot.
Yes, but I'm taking everything with a grain of salt. I get it. It's fiction. I get it. So, because he would have to rape a lady. She'd have to go through the months of pregnancy.
It'd be more realistic if there was like a 200-year time difference. Like you could see that being reasonable in 200 years. But this was, I think what you're saying is, it's definitely not reasonable to have that amount of a deformity over that short of amount of time.
Because if the monster really is the last baby, incest baby, then that means she can't be that old. She would have to be very young. She'd
have to be like a second or third generation, but like the monster seems very like well into her 30s.
Yeah.
So that part doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I really, really like this movie, even though it was a little bit disturbing. Mainly, the monster was just physically disturbing. I did not like seeing those titties every time. The
monster is physically disturbing.
I give this movie, from a rating of 1 to 10, I give it, I'm going to say 9.8.
Oh my God.
This movie was excellent. I loved this movie.
Okay. I rated a 7.
The only reason it's not a 10 for me,
I enjoy this movie a lot. It is a good horror movie.
The only reasons it's not a 10 for me is because there are a few things that confused me, like when AJ was introduced, it came out of nowhere with seemingly nothing to do with the main story. So if things were a little bit more clear or somehow connected a little bit better, I would really like that. And also I would just want the monster to get rid of the titties. I did not like the monster titties. I mean, I guess if they were trying to make people uncomfortable, they fucking nailed it. But I feel like you can make a monster without titties. But maybe there were I don't know how important the titties were supposed to be. Because if she's a mother and wants to breastfeed, I don't know. But those are the only two things I really didn't like. How AJ was a little confusing at first, and the monster titties. Without those things, this thing would be a 10 for me.
That's interesting.
I watched this movie in my living room with our brand new 98-inch TV, and we have a really loud surround sound system. And dude, we have a fat subwoofer, so the sound, amazing. The sound effects they chose, I loved it. Everything, it was just a very, very good experience to watch. If I'd watched this on my phone, it would have been different. And I almost did, because I have Disney Plus on my phone. So I almost watched it on my phone. I'm so glad I didn't watch it on my phone. I'm glad I watched it with my loud speakers and everything.
You should continue to not watch our movies on a phone, if possible.
Schindler's List and The Godfather, I watched on. This looks like an 18-inch monitor.
Oh,
and
okay.
The sound was okay. Like it was decent. It was enough. It was enough for me to consume the information, understand what was happening in the story, with having a decent-ish quality of the movie. The visuals and sound were okay. But now I'm going to watch new movies in the living room from now on.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was super good. Super good movie. I definitely want to rewatch it.
Are you going to make Sabrina watch it?
Probably not. She might not like it.
Okay.
Because I really like horror movies. Certain horror movies. It's difficult for me to find a horror movie that I like. But what?
Look over there. Oh, she left. Okay.
Because I really like the horror genre, and I made a horror short film called Join Us. I mean, I like horror enough that I went out and tried to make my own. And watching this movie, it made me want to make another one, because I liked it. I mean, once you take away like the big set pieces and like the fancy camera work, it's kind of a simple story. There's one main location, it's the house, and there's very few main characters. So it's somewhat easy-ish to kind of film, and I like that. I really, really like that. I mean, obviously there's this whole dungeon and the physical makeup of the monster. That's super expensive, but if you kind of watch it just like as it's bare bones, it's a pretty good simple story, and I like it a lot.
Thank you. Thanks for enjoying my movie. You've brought me happiness.
Yeah, this is a super good movie. For anybody who likes horror, I definitely recommend this movie. This movie is balls to the wall. Awesome. Tits to the wall. Do you have any closing statements? Any final thoughts?
No, I don't think so. No, I won't say anything. I won't say anything more. I normally We'll just talk after.
All right. Well, I'm really glad you picked this movie. I had my doubts at the start, but after watching it, it was a great pick. Considering that we've watched Schindler's List, The Godfather, Raging Bull, they're all kind of dated movies. This was a really good modern.
Brought some fresh air.
Yeah, it was a modern new category. I liked it a lot. I'm surprised that I liked it too, because I really didn't have high hopes for it. Anyway, with that said, thanks for watching. This is the end of the episode, and we'll see you guys next time when we do episode, what would it be, 5, I think? But yeah, that's it. Bye.